I was yesterday for Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, £1.50 a drop. You know, so they might only do one drop an hour. Well, they do more.
No, they don't. They've got to do a lot. That's what I'm saying to make it pay. Yeah.
But you know, the slave labour. I mean, Alan, you know, there was a case very locally, less than 35 miles from this studio, about slavery.
This was a camp, wasn't it? I'm talking one of them. There's been another one since this week, hasn't there?
Gypsy camp, not gypsy, what do you call it?
Pikey. Well, no, we can't use that term, can we? Travellers,
yeah.
Travellers.
And they were incarcerating men to work, you know, 20 hours a day, and they weren't paying them, and they weren't feeding them, and all this.
Well, they kept them tramped up in a caravan, weren't they, and locked up.
Is that not slavery?
Of course it is. Well, yeah, it was. They got done for that, didn't they?
So, you know, you waffling on about Libya and all these other countries, you know, but we don't.
It's happening here.
Yes, but they're selling young children for £400 a pot to work on farms, you know, and they're doing that on an industrial scale. That's something that, you know, I mean, that's going back 500 or 600 years, isn't it?
The thing that we've got in this country called gangmasters.
You don't hear anything about it. You don't hear much about it.
Gangmaster is a perfectly legitimate term. I mean, when I worked on a building site in my checkered history, I worked for the guy who I worked for was called the ganger. All right,
yeah, that's a bit different, isn't it?
It's taken on a little bit more of a sinister meaning due to what has been found with Chinese gangmasters using people for cockle picking in Morecambe Bay, for example.
Drowning them all, you know.
But that's one example. There are thousands of gangmasters that actually are employed perfectly legitimately and do a really good job bringing in people at harvest time from abroad to work. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's condemning the many for the few. But you know, so gangmaster is actually quite a reasonable thing to do if you're looking at temporary labour. It's the general, you know, that's the word for it, and the fact that it's been smeared as described is neither here nor there. But slavery, it's just unbelievable.
I think I'd turn it around the other way. I think there are more unsavoury gangmasters than savoury ones.
I would tend to agree with that.
Okay.
But I mean, that's just an opinion. I mean, we haven't got round yet to Mr. Mugabe, have we? You know, Bob, as somebody was referring to him on yeah, you know, I mean, the bloke. What a state of affairs in the country, because, you know, he's been incarcerated in his house.
He was seen in public yesterday, wasn't he?
Yes, he was seen. He went off to a graduation ceremony.
Oh, did he?
You know, yeah. So he obviously left his house and went to the graduation ceremony and came back. Unless they did the graduation ceremony in his house.
He slipped out, did he, without anybody noticing?
No, he didn't. I mean, all the world's press were there for a start.
Yeah, but the bloke's evil, isn't he?
He is evil.
But then they're going to get something just as bad, aren't they? You know, I mean, this is the problem with Africa, isn't it?
I know it's the old hippie of me, but I like to see the good side of people, you know.
But you like him, do you?
No, I just think, could it be the first military crew ever to bring in something, to actually have the crew, the coup, to bring in democracy? Because if as a result of the intervention of the military, Zimbabwe ends up with a free and fair election, that would be a very good thing for the military to have done.
Do you think it will? It has happened before. It has happened before.
I think it would be a good thing to happen. I think it's something that the military could be proud of. Alternatively, it could be a stitched-up deal done already, and it would be, you know, just like another completely dodgy deal done in Africa, and there's just
that's the problem with Africa.
That's the problem with Africa. That's why they milk their nations dry. These leaders.
I would like to ask another question here. Has Robert Mugabe actually been running the country for the last few years? What about his young lady?
Yeah. Well, this is
because this apparently is all about his lady,
his wife,
and she, by all accounts, is somewhat pushy. And the military have taken a wee bit of offence, or at least on the behest of somebody else.
Well, it's a very good point there, really, because the thing is, they say that behind every good man is a good lady, you know, or something like that, you know.
And at 93, should he really be ruling a country?
No.
Well, of course he should.
With respect
to 93-year-olds, I know. But I mean, going back to Alan's comments, the fact is that what stinks, as far as I'm concerned, is the first points about what is happening over there, because the military has said this is not a coup, Well,
what is it?
What is it then? Because the military have taken power away from the government.
Well, some say it looks like a coup. Some say it smells like a coup.
Yeah, others say, but it's not. It's a duck.
Some say that actually the definition of a coup is what's actually happening in Zimbabwe. But of course, the military have a different opinion. I mean, that's the way the world is going, isn't it? I mean, you've got Donald Trump who stands up and he just tells the most almighty bits of misinformation that he spurts out.
Have you been watching a series about him?
Yeah, I've watched a number of things. I don't know if it's the same series.
The amount of money he borrowed and then didn't pay supplies, $18 billion, to build this building, and he didn't pay anybody, and he's a crook.
Well, some say.
Allegedly, some say he's a crook. Some say, allegedly, he's got too many fingers in the pie. He's reckless.
Some say that he's got a very close relationship with Russia, and that seems to be bearing fruit, doesn't it, at the moment?
I think so.
Because, to the point where our Prime Minister has, much to my surprise, as far as the veracity of the accusations go, but actually called Putin some very bad names, really.
Russian?
She's basically saying, in no uncertain terms, that they affected the Brexit vote.
Yeah, but the worrying side of this is if Putin and Trump did get together, both of them are megalomaniacs, aren't they? Yeah. They could control the whole world, couldn't they?
Well, look, if I just to take a slightly helicopter view for a moment, right? Let's go flying above Europe for a moment and look down on it. On the right hand side, we've got the Russian Empire. On the left hand side, we've got the American Empire.
And we've got the Finsbury Park Empire.
In the middle, we've got Europe.
Closed
right? Now, if Europe is a united...
Actually, it was quite a nice place,
Rainbow.
Yeah, that's right.
If you... come on.
One at a time.
If Europe is united, that represents a barrier between Russia and America. If Europe is divided, that means there isn't a barrier. And it's in Russia's interest to have a weak Europe, strategically.
What's that?
Helicopter noise.
Oh, helicopter.
We're taking a helicopter view.
That's a Chinook.
Anyway, that's my helicopter view of political process in Europe at this moment in time.
That was very well thought out, Alan.
That really was good.
Online radio for MK and the rest of the world too. CRMK Online. Online radio for Milton Keynes and the rest of the world too. CRMK Online.
Well, with us leaving Brexit,
good morning.
He's going to leave the whole.
Good morning.
We're on air.
Good morning.
I thought you was playing a tune.
I'm Mike Barry.
I'm Bob Bluffield.
I'm Kev Slaymaker.
I'm Alan Mallyon.
And together we are
the Grumpy Old Men.
She'd walk down through the garden in the morning after it rained. Peacocks wandered aimlessly underneath an orange tree. Why can't she see me? Guinevere drew pentagrams like yours, milady, like yours. Late at night, when she thought that no one was watching at all, on the wall, she shall be free. As she turns her gaze down the slope to the harbor where I lay, anchored for a day. Guinevere had golden hair like yours, milady, like yours. Streaming out when we'd ride through the warm wind down by the bay. Yesterday, seagulls circle endlessly. I sing in silent harmony. We shall be free.
That's Genevieve from Cream here on CRMK. You're listening to the Grumpy Old Men on a Saturday morning. Coming up at 10 o'clock this morning will be Decades with Charlotte and Dave, and that's through until 12. Then from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock this afternoon, it's DJ Digital and his All Sorts Weekly Showcase. 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock tonight, we've got Erica Gordon and her Roots, Soul, Rhythm and Blues. Tomorrow morning here on CRMK, it's yours truly, me, Mike Barry. I'll be with you from 10 till 12 with Hit or Miss. Playing you some tunes that you may have heard, you may not have heard, you may remember, or you may not remember. It's a bit of a nostalgia for 2 hours, 10 till 12 tomorrow morning. That's followed by Sunday Roast at 12 until 2 with Martin and Maylis. Ground Control is brought to you by Paul Alexander from 2 till 4. Then from 4 till 6, Rock On with Dale Nathan. 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock tomorrow is The Gospel Show with Howard McKellar, and that's followed by Scene Sounds with Simon Moss from 8 until 10. Though I'm not sure whether he's actually doing his show or not. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. And running our programmes up at the weekend is from 10 until 11, The Invisible Folk Club with Steve Yarwood and John Bickley. That's just a look at some of the programmes we've got here on CRMK. If you want to know what we do, have a look on our website, and that will tell you all about it. Now, I did mention earlier on at the top of the show about Mr. Mallyon's somewhat use of the English language last week. We're coming out with some fantastic big words and all the rest of it. But if you still believe that it's quite polite to avoid being frightfully rude, for instance, you're rather unusual. The essentially English habit of tiptoeing around topics so as not to cause offences dying off, say experts. This is polite English, of course. According to a major study of language trends, there's been a drastic erosion of words such as quite, rather, and fairly from the British conversational habits over the past 100 years. And one of the things that is totally tickling and utterly upsetting me at the moment is when people start answering a question by saying so.
Yeah,
they're using
so
instead of yes.
About that, Mike, is
what?
So what I think about that is
I know exactly. But you've got politicians using it. You've got